welcome back to Trading Day. This is the second part to episode 2. We're going to get involved in mergers and acquisitions and also talking about the importance of fundamentals. I'll hand back over to Raj and let's get started into round 3.
So let's get stuck in. I mean, what do you guys feel are the importance of fundamentals in trading?
Okay, well, the importance of fundamentals is if you focus too much on technicals,
sorry,
it's going to completely destroy your setup. Like if a piece of news comes along and just goes completely the wrong way because you didn't take it into consideration.
Destroy your setup.
There you go. So that's my good bit of advice for the day.
Do that, Ish, mate. Have a nap.
Yeah, that's it. Be done,
mate. The importance of fundamentals depends what you trade in stocks or FX, right? I mean, so many people. I don't understand how you actually trade without fundamentals. If I'm honest with you, on stocks you need them for everything. It's like the most important part of trading stocks. Also, especially when you're calling like bullshit companies, looking at their press releases, again, it's news. And then FX, just general, GDP figures, consumer price index, non-farm payrolls, anything along those lines, you just need to be taken into account. It's like, why wouldn't you take it into account is probably the actual question you probably want to be asking yourself. It's probably just because you can't be bothered to look up what the news actually means. So don't be lazy. Get a full picture of what's going on, I would say.
Yeah, I think there's two sort of, especially FX, there's two types of like fundamentals. You've got the news that's coming out, and you've got the sort of underlying fundamentals, what's going on in the economy. So obviously you've got your day-to-day news that could have an impact, or it could have, your expected versus your actual. So, if they're wildly different, then you may see a quite big reaction. Whereas if they're, the expected and the actual quite similar, you may not. But then you've got like the underlying, what's actually going on in the economy. I'm trying to think of an example. So for example, like why is the US dollar weak at the moment? Why is it weak compared to, the basket of currencies? So things like that is having an understanding of how.
Do you want to tell them why it is weak?
Yeah, I can tell them why it's weak. So it's just having an understanding of how interest rates, for example, impact the exchange rate. So obviously, since coronavirus, if you look at the dollar index, it's been going down. Sort of understanding why that is. The Fed are talking about looking at inflation. You'd be here all day explaining it, but the relationship between inflation, interest rates, and exchange rates. So normally you have an inflation target, and why the Fed are allowing that maybe to overshoot, and how they're then allowing that to overshoot means they're depressing interest rates for longer, which then weakens the US dollar perhaps against other currencies. So just that impact that's had over the last few months, building up into the other currencies, and whether that's going to change. Obviously you had the Jackson Hole Summit last week, where the Fed announced the sort of average inflation target as opposed to having to stick to that 2%, which then we saw the rally in equities. So again, how that relates to equities. I think there's having that understanding of what's overall going on in the economy, which people often neglect. You could have the perfect technical setup in the world, but if the fundamentals are saying the opposite, then most of the time, obviously you have exceptions for, I don't think those technical levels are going to hold.
Does Ray Dalio touch on this in Principles?
What, in terms of fundamentals?
Yeah, I thought it did.
Probably. I can't remember. That book is massive.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think. There's not really many books you can read about that discuss fundamentals.
There's a lot. So looking at macroeconomics, it all does fall down to economics. And there's a lot of traders out there. I'm trying to think of some names now. That talk about, so they'll look at the monthly charts and they're looking over a longer period of time, the fundamentals, how they're changing.
Yeah, like your overnights, your swabs, how you can gain like your long swab positions if you're holding.
Yeah, just looking at the sort of longer term trends. I
feel like you are trading blind though, right? If you're not taking into account fundamentals. And especially on equities. Like I said, you've got your whole breaking news and you've got your underlying kind of money flow fundamentals.
Yeah, if you're trying to short-term trade, and scalp and stuff like that, and there's something coming out in the news and you're not aware of it, then yeah, you are, you know,
you're blind.
Yeah. But then you have the other argument, which is, you know, the technicals are based on the fundamentals, so you can just look at the technicals based on what the other traders are doing. They're already taking into account the fundamentals for you.
Prime example, gold and oil, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another, obviously oil. So
yeah, oil's prime one, with oil going negative during COVID because of the lockdown. No demand for oil, so there was a cost then for storing the oil, and that cost was outweighing the price per barrel, therefore making oil go negative. If you understand the fundamentals of that, knowing that COVID is not going to be an ongoing thing causing people to not go outside, meaning that demand will then increase again, rallying the price of oil. So it was a smart trade to get in when oil was very cheap. Those that are actually stock subscribers of mine would have seen my oil ETF trade calling that as well, back when that did happen. And that's a prime example of taking advantage of fundamentals. So
yeah, and I think economic shocks as well often cause overreactions. So that was obviously the whole massive shock of this is what's happening, and it's that sort of like self-fulfilling thing, and it causes that overreaction, that overshooting.
Yeah.
And then when it settles down, that's when you get the retracement.
Yeah.
But obviously from that, you know, the price of oil is just rallied, doesn't it? So
yeah, it's like I think $44 now, something along those lines. But straight up fear, there's so many. I was reading about in Barron's News about a small fund of like 5 guys who made like 700 million when price went negative. They was actually shorting it, so they was making the money. They even had they've been looking at being investigated from the SEC for contributing to the oil crash, which is like, you know, I don't think they'll get done for anything because it is what it was. But yeah, really interesting to see it and how they made so much money off the back of it. And they're like kind of like, you get those kind of black swan trades. It's like very far and few between that you need to take advantage of them. But yeah, really interesting side of things. But you can't trade those kind of moves without understanding the fundamentals behind it. And you get these people that sit there and be like, oh yeah, trade with the ghastly pattern and the Fibonacci patterns and all of this lot. And if I'm quite frank, it's just a load of bollocks, really. You know, no one uses freaking fib patterns in that. I think the closest thing to someone actually using a fib pattern is actually like, isn't it like the tree of life? If you put a Fibonacci pattern onto a tree, like levels out with the branches or something stupid like that. But anyway, that's my take. Yeah,
and I think a lot of people, they'll see the news but not really understand what it means or how that impacts what they're trading, or whether it does impact it. And
because it could
it's not easy either. It's not.
Yeah, you can get like really positive news, and everyone will be like, "Oh, that's great for the dollar," and then they're like, "Oh, wait, no, that's going to change." The actual traders are looking at it going, "No, that's going to change like interest rates." So they take it as a negative thing, because they're now getting closer to changing the interest rates, and so then the market then tanks, and everyone's like, "Wait, I don't get this. This is positive news," but it's like it's a double-bladed sword. So you have to see it from what that good news is then going to equal later down the line. So it's an interesting sort of side.
And the only way you can know that is reading what, you know, don't want to say, what's the word, like reliable sources of information around the time of that particular release. You know, maybe the same release, but sometimes NFP's in the spotlight, whereas other months it isn't so much. You know, there's certain times when certain figures are playing more of an important role in the overall trading community.
Well, employment figures now are really important with COVID, for example.
Yeah. So the bounce back, the super V.
Yeah, the super V. Starting to look a bit. It could be. Well, it's more than a super V now. I don't even know what that is at the moment. It's a teacup. It's a teacup position, isn't it? That's what they call it. You get the cup. It goes straight up. I think they call it something like that.
Teacup would be more like a U.
Yeah, it's not really a U. It's more like a.
It's like a Nike swoosh.
Bounce straight back, like all the way up.
Like a Nike swoosh.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah. It's
a swoosh trade.
The swoosh trade. Swoosh. Did you catch the swoosh?
Especially Nasdaq, man. That's like, except yesterday.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Is the Dow back now? Is it gone back to breaking highs? It was like 1% down, wasn't it? Or something
Well,
like
no,
that?
yeah. Then it went from 29.2, and then it went all the way down to like 28.1, and now I think it's back up about 28.5. So, the thing. Well, I don't know what caused the sell-off yesterday. I think it's just profit taking.
No, it's
yeah,
Trump.
It was in tech stocks, but
it was Trump was tweeting
what,
about
the polls?
it. Yeah, the polls started to say there was Biden, and
Yeah.
he was just like, when fake media gets involved, isn't it funny how the market sells off? For a guy that doesn't have big stock positions,
but
he
then,
half cares
so
about
why,
the market.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the gap in the polls is quite interesting.
It was narrowing, isn't it? And this time they're trying to be... Well, last time it was like 70-30 or something ridiculous to Clinton, the build-up. But there's an interesting stat. I want to make sure that it's right in saying it, but I think along the lines of any president that was leading in the polls, in the early polls by a vast majority, didn't win. And that's been true to every single election. So Biden was heavily out in front, so was Clinton. Clinton lost. So what's the other geezer that Obama went against?
Mitt Romney.
Yeah, was that second term? Or?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he was out in front as well against Obama. And so he lost as well. It's interesting because I think when you see when it comes down to the play, I'm pretty confident Trump will get him. Pretty confident.
Big bet confident.
Big bet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I put it on early.
So that's another thing that's coming up with the election, right? So that's a massive fundamental, and how, if the Democrats get in, what that means for businesses, or what that could mean for businesses, and how that impacts their profit, and then how that impacts their share price. So, sort of understanding these.
Well, I mean, if he gets in, I mean, every small business is going to need to get like fire insurance and riot insurance, which I'm sure will probably become a thing. His stuff is ridiculous, and I just can't imagine what it's actually going to be like. It's not going to be good for the stock market at all. I mean, look, as soon as they say the polls of him are out in front, look, tanks, just like that, mate. If he gets in, short. I'm going to just short the indices straight away.
Well, it was interesting last time, wasn't it, when Trump got in, the reaction by the stock market.
Yeah, boom.
So, they were worried. It was worried, weren't they?
Yeah.
It sold off, and then he came out, did his victory speech, when it wasn't as bad as, it wasn't like we're going to just go on the full attack. It wasn't too bad. The wall, obviously, that's all gone quiet now.
It was quite tapered compared to some of his previous lead-up
the market,
speeches.
From that rally, up till, was it February 2018, where it had that sell-off, but that was just a crazy rally.
I'm looking forward to trading the elections, really am. But I may as well just say, I've got a big bet. I've got a 10 grand bet that Donald Trump gets in, and if I win, I get 25 grand payout. So I'll put the bet on.
Because it's the odds have shortened since you made that bet. Because I think he's like 51%. He's actually favourite now in the bookies.
Really?
Just close.
So there's those things like partial cash outs, isn't there? I wonder what my partial cash out is now.
It depends if that bet. Some bets you can't. I think binary bets you can't do it as much.
Yeah.
I know on football.
I know in sports, I think you can.
It depends. Certain things you can. Certain bets you can. Other bets you can't.
I reckon they will, because it was a custom bet. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not cashing out on it. Just gonna hold it.
So in terms of, say, fundamentals for FX traders, intraday traders, because I remember when I first started trading, first time experience like non-farm payrolls, and just seeing the market just go everywhere. It was. I remember the feeling. It was very overwhelming. You think I'm missing out so much. I want to get in. You'd end up jumping in. You'd get slippage. And you'd end up in such a mess. I mean, what would you say to new traders in regards to there's huge movements on like interest rate decisions and NFPs?
Don't trade it.
Buck it up and research.
Yeah, until you understand. But even when you understand what's going on, right? Like we're saying, there's still, it doesn't always react how you think it's going to react. So you're playing a gamble game if you're just trading news like that. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think most traders that don't get involved in fundamentals or don't understand it should just close out half an hour before. Reopen your positions off.
Just leave your trade, see what happens.
No, I agree.
But I wouldn't actively trade it if you don't really know what's going on, because like you say, I guess it's FOMO, isn't it? Fear of missing out. You're trying to jump on a move and then it'll just turn the other way or something. It's just gambling if you do that. You're not you're not trading a strategy unless you call that strategy. You're just seeing some news, seeing big candle move, and you're jumping in.
Yeah, I think like when you're starting as well, if you are lacking the understanding of what fundamentals are, places like my Facebook, just clicking on the actual news, understanding what's going on in each one, and then just trying to stick to understanding your own home country. For example, we're in the UK, so understanding what does the Bank of England interest rate mean, how's that going to move the market, what does the UK figures mean, and when you're trying to understand your own country figures, it's a lot easier than looking at like China or Japan and trying to understand what's going on in their economy. And then once you understand that, move on to understanding the US dollar, and then, you know, branch out from there.
You can definitely trade without understanding it, though. You can definitely be a profitable trader without understanding fundamentals.
Do you think?
Still say, yeah. Out of luck. Plus
probability, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, being aware of when the news releases are, and
fine, yeah.
Obviously being aware, but not necessarily understanding, and not necessarily trading it.
Awesome. Cool. So there's two mergers and there's two topics that I want to go over today. Okay, so who are Microsoft trying to buy?
TikTok.
Yeah.
Walmart. To the second part of the question.
Yeah.
Who am I trying to buy, and who else is joining race? Yeah.
It's like literally the only
So
thing
TikTok,
in the news.
Walmart.
Okay, well, that's very brief. Yeah, absolutely spot on. So yeah, trying to buy
trying
TikTok.
to rescue it.
Microsoft plans to fish by 750.
Why have you gone quiet?
You just start mumbling. So
Mumbling away from your
and
mic.
he's
Took away my. I was just
coming up on the
It's
inside.
just Australia's like, oh fuck.
Well, we have
Yeah,
to
so
do
Microsoft plans to come out.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to do a brief version. You're right. It's TikTok and it's Walmart. Yeah, you're right.
We have a horse commentator in here.
Yeah,
Taking the lead,
Yeah,
and
you're
it's
absolutely right.
Microsoft plans to finish its acquisition talks with TikTok ahead of September 15 deadline.
September
The deal could
15
be worth
deadline
up to
in the
30
could line a
million.
bit of 30 billion in the US retail giant Walmart is selling to the T-Mart. What might have been on the US in operation. Oh, TikTok and over 800 million active users worldwide.
Or hang about Forbes value at 50 billion. Chinese officials introduced new restrictions on technology exports.
Right.
Get the words out, man.
Right.
Have Walmart and Microsoft teamed up before, Raj? This is a question for you.
I don't know.
Under
You've done your research.
I don't. I looked at both their stock prices and they're just solid, aren't they?
Yes, they have, Elliot. They teamed up against Amazon, didn't they? Because they wanted to take on the giant.
The giant that is Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah.
E-commerce. Data.
Giant got bigger.
Okay. Well, I don't.
So what are we looking at here?
Don't know. Illustrations.
I did lots of research.
This is the merger between Walmart and
No,
Microsoft.
it's just their previous performances and before. But I mean, yeah. I mean, do any of you guys use TikTok?
Like very rarely, yeah.
I made this mistake of downloading it.
Did you get hooked on it?
Oh mate, for like 20
Yeah.
minutes.
Well, you do the dances and stuff.
No.
I bet you were already.
You know what? The
competition.
dance part of TikTok is like a very small section of it. There's
Okay.
conspiracy TikTok. There's loads of crazy stuff you can get into.
I just
on
don't like the
TikTok.
15-year-old girls on it, so
Yeah, it depends. Like the algorithm works by what you like. So if you don't like any of those things, they genuinely don't turn up. So you know.
Yeah, no, but I
I'd
don't
be
like.
careful what you're liking.
But I don't like any of that. Just skip them.
But you don't know, right? Like you don't know they're 15 or 22 or like. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they look extremely young.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But do you know what? During lockdown,
Iffy
I went
ground.
once. It's so much more entertaining though. You know, seeing like celebs and stuff,
I
like
need a
getting involved in
burger.
all the challenges and stuff. I just found it so much more entertaining.
Hey,
than
I watch
Instagram.
barbecue stuff on TikTok.
I was watching.
Do you
that,
actually?
Yeah.
People cooking food.
Yeah. People cooking food. There's some steak guys out in America that are constantly grilling stuff, smoking massive joints of meat. It's amazing. Talking about the best kind of rubs that you can get on your meat. Hey.
Which rub do you use, man? You hang it up and you give it a rub and tug.
Rub and a tug.
Mate, genuinely, there's some really good stuff out there for cooking. There's gaming. Lots of guys like Call of Duty and stuff like that.
Cool, thanks for that
Okay.
information.
No worries.
Awesome. Well, let's move on to the next one. So, Aimune. This is an acquisition that was announced this week. So, powerless over food allergies. So, Aimune is leader in developing treatments designed to reduce the...
Oh, here we go. So, and he's off. He's out there. And they're off. They're out out the dock. Wait. Do you know what? He looks like he's allergic to peanuts.
What?
He looks like he's allergic to peanuts.
He does. How do you know that?
Why did you say that?
Because of the company, Immune. It's what they do.
Yeah, it is part of. But do you know who's acquired them?
Nestle. For 2.6 billion values in that dollars.
Them.
That's very specific.
They already own 25%.
Bonus points earlier.
This is not points this round though.
There's no points, but
I was going to say.
No, this is really interesting. You should be interested in this because you're allergic to peanuts. Right?
No, he's not.
Oh yeah. According to Caffrey, he's not. Depends who you ask. If you ask him, I've definitely fed him peanuts and he's been fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I gave him peanut fairy cakes and he ate them like no boys. Yeah, no issues.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, it's because we put this stuff in there.
Is Nestle? Yeah, and your spawn is a deal worth. It's all worth 2.6 billion.
So how much does the deal worth?
2.6 billion.
There we go.
there we go, nice and clear.
There we go. Nice and clear.
So yeah, this was the
But it's for children only,
This
isn't
was
it?
the funny part, right? So AR 101 is specifically for peanut therapy.
These guys.
And so when I thought Nestle, I thought,
Yeah, 4 to
right,
17.
this is, you can just tell what they're going to be pushing out next, right?
No.
There's so many products that they do peanuts. So you can probably expect to see all these advertised.
What?
So
like
you
a treatment pen? You jab yourself.
Are you
with
struggling
this,
from
you
peanut
can eat
allergies
this.
on your line bar? Don't worry, we've acquired this company to fix the problems.
It's crazy though, isn't it? Obviously,
You might not
peanut
die
allergy.
if you eat this. You still may, but you might not.
Yeah.
There's a good chance you won't die.
Read the instructions, right? Please inject within 3 seconds of consuming. Okay, right. Okay.
What's the line to
Right.
go?
I'm going. Okay.
They do a lime peanut as well.
Oh, tastes so good.
No. It'll already be in the actual chocolate, so you won't need to do that bit.
Nice, cool story, bro.
They reckon they're going to do like, what, 1 billion a year?
Goobers.
In a few
Something
years or
ridiculous,
something like
yeah.
that? From this product?
1.5 sense. bill.
1 billion a year, yeah.
It's
Wow.
extremely irritating to have a nut allergy.
Because Amine is one of the only
But you wouldn't
FDA
know that.
approved peanut.
Well, apparently
peanuts for
already-
children,
so
right?
Chocolate
First
bars
one.
are
Children,
amazing,
yeah,
but I
it's the
wouldn't
first
know.
FDA
Yeah,
approved.
lime bars.
And then they're looking to get it.
Yeah,
Apparently,
see, I'd love
they've
to
applied
be
for it
able to
in
eat a lime bar.
the EU and Switzerland. They're hoping that will come next year. They'll get the approval in, so they'll be able to come over here. So that's why they think it's just going to blow up.
Yeah, it's crazy. And if it doesn't, they'll just start pumping out more peanut products.
Peanuts everywhere.
So we need to get like
They're the
next
problem and the
episode.
solution. Like, we're a lovely
Next
place.
episode, we need to get the cherry Coke cans, and we also need to get lime bars, just because they're awesome.
And fish finger sandwiches.
No, because they didn't invent them.
All right, let's get this website.
They didn't
Right.
invent fish finger sandwiches. That's what
Get
I'm
this
saying.
going.
And the
Next.
fish finger. That's it.
Oh,
Wicked.
Brings
awesome,
us to the end.
guys. That was awesome. So, guys, obviously, we love absolutely running this podcast. We think it's an awesome setup, and we think that we're adding some good value to you guys in regards to the markets, a bit of banter, and also some education as well around the markets. If you know...
What is that?
We invented fish fingers.
No.
Mate, that is a bold
It's
claim. That is such a
So-
bold BS
On
claim.
Unilever's website.
So guys, we hope you really enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to thumbs up, comment and subscribe. We hope you're taking away a good bit of education, some banter as well. If you want to get involved in the next episode and be in a chance for some cash prizes, I have put my WhatsApp number below. I know, risky, be sensible. Send in some points that you would like covered in one of the podcasts and we'll see if we can cover it. Everyone that puts a suggestion across, we're going to put you into a prize draw for some cash giveaways. That's right, cash. How much cash? I don't know yet. Let's see. We'll do a lot of cash. Yeah, exactly. Find out by entering.
Find out next week.
In the next podcast on Raw Influence. Thanks to the horse commentator Raj for this this amazing episode. And I think next week we're going over to.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Unless James wants to do it.
No.
Okay.
Just be honest,
I have
don't
no
worry,
desire to do it in this one.
Yeah, we're going over to Elliot the next one. Awesome, guys. See you in the next episode.